As I glanced out the window, the autumn sun was setting before I knew it. So, it was already that time, huh? It seemed spending all this time locked up inside at work dulled my sense of time. Well, that was no doubt normal for an office worker like me who worked at small companies. You spent all day being run down by work, and before you knew it, the day was over. Every day was more of the same thing. Thinking about it made me feel sad. Working all the time without break, and no girlfriend or money to show for it. Was my mediocre life going to end like this? Well, see you later. A voice suddenly called out behind me. I looked, and my colleagues were leaving the office, one by one. The clock said it was the end of the workday. Shit, I spaced out again. But even worse, my desk was still piled high with work. What should I do? I unfortunately decided to do overtime. There was no way I could go home with all this work here. I was exhausted and tired, but I had to soldier on. That's right. It's sad, but that's just what an office worker is. I suppressed the desire to go home and once again tackled the mountain of work I had left. But then, suddenly the phone on my desk rang. Business hours were over, so who could it be? I picked up the phone. At any rate, I picked up the phone. I couldn't let it keep going like that. Hello? Is that Tara-kun? It was the president of the firm I was in charge of dealing with. Hello. So, about that estimate we spoke of earlier, I'm terribly sorry, but would you be able to send it over today? Today? Yes, we're in a hurry. Thanks. Sure. What the hell? Now I had to work even more. And he wanted it today? Jeez, it was not my day. I shouldn't have picked up the phone if this was what was going to happen. I couldn't help but feel down. Feeling depressed, I got back to work. I looked down, and the hold button on the phone was lit up. What the? Had a colleague left someone on hold and then gone home? Jeez, what an idiot. Shit! My face suddenly went pale. I just remembered. It was me. It was my phone call. I was too busy to pick up the phone, so I put them on hold. I'd completely forgotten. I lifted the receiver and apologized in a loud voice. I'm sorry to keep you waiting. They seemed to still be on the line, but there was no response. Why? Were they angry? Or maybe they weren't by the phone anymore. Hello? It was no good. There was no answer. With no other option, I went to hang up. But at that moment, it felt like someone said my name on the other end of the phone. The voice was too small to hear well, but it sounded like someone said my name. Hello? Yes, that's me. I answered in a panic. I could hear a voice, but it was too small to make out. The person on the other end seemed to be a woman. even so, why did my chest seem to hurt so much? This feeling... No, it was nothing. I was just tired. More importantly, what was going on? Hello? Annoyed, I raised my voice. Oop. Huh? I can't hear you very well. Help me. I'm going to be killed. Tara-san? 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 Somebody was calling my name. There was a sharp pain in my chest. Come on, what are you doing? You... Who was she again? That smiling face had to be. Hey, Tara-san, what do you want to be in the future? Me? A teacher might be nice, I guess. What was I saying? But this seemed somehow... Me too. I want to be an elementary school teacher, and then... I want to be your wife. Wait! Suddenly she disappeared, and I turned to scream towards her. I didn't know why. Hey, will you come and get me? Wait, I'll go. I'll come pick you up, so just... I'll be waiting. I'll probably wait for you forever. Yumi! When I opened my eyes, I was greeted by the familiar sight of my own room. It was just a dream? I wiped the sweat from my face as I tried to calm my breathing, and slowly my consciousness returned from the world of sleep to reality. But I'd had quite a strange dream again. It felt like something that happened long ago. I couldn't remember it very well. No doubt about it, I had that dream because of that phone call. I quickly rushed home afterwards and went straight to bed. Work was also on my mind, but honestly, it wasn't the time for that. Help me. I'm going to be killed. I didn't know if that had really taken place or not. But even now, I couldn't get that sad, pained voice out of my head. I prayed that it was just a joke. I prayed that it was just a joke. Yeah, it had to be someone playing a prank. Of course it did. But if it was real... No, it couldn't be. It was just a joke. Whatever. I just put it out of my mind. That was what I thought. When I glanced at the clock, I saw it was almost time to leave for work. Shit, gotta hurry. Even as I panicked, I drank my coffee as usual and spread the newspaper out before me. What? I was so shocked when I saw the article that I dropped my coffee cup. Branch school teaches suicide by fire in City Park. The photo of the smiling woman by the headline looked just like the girl from my dream. Then, the moment I saw her name, reality and memories of the past mixed in my head. No way. Yumi? It was you? There's no way. No way. The pain in my chest roared back to life. Then I remembered everything. The smiling woman in the paper was Yumi, and that girl in my dream was Yumi from the past. Yumi. How long had passed since then? She was a childhood friend of mine, and we often played together until junior high school. She was an only child, so I, being 2 years older, was probably like an older brother to her. But then those feelings changed into a faint first love. At the time, we definitely agreed to get married and even exchanged promise gifts with each other. That gift was a seashell pendant, I think. It was a simple promise that anyone might have made. We moved after that, and she slowly became a person from my past. Even so, I received a New Year's card from her a few years back, and although I felt nostalgic, I didn't write her a reply. Yeah, I remembered something about her writing that she was a branch school teacher in the countryside in her letter. Anyway, the memories of her had been buried somewhere deep in the back of my mind. Yeah, not only had I forgotten the face of my first love, but also the pain of love in my chest. My chest hurt again, like those long distant days. My chest hurt? Come to think of it, when I was on the phone, maybe that phone call was from her. That's why I had that dream. I somehow stopped from shaking and took her New Year's card out from the desk, making my way towards the address she'd written on it. Her funeral was already underway. Her father clung to her coffin, her mother cried, half crazed, and her friends called out her name. Amongst this sadness, I stood before her corpse. She appeared warped from the burns all over her body, and her right hand was nowhere to be seen, perhaps completely burnt off. That familiar face now looked blackened, like a burnt monster with a terrifying expression, and her bulging eyes looked right at me. Then all I could do was watch silently as her body was carried away to the crematorium. As I watched her go, I was sure of one thing. That phone call really was from her. There was no denying that something happened to her, and she sought help from me. What was going on? She sought help from me. If I had noticed sooner, then maybe she wouldn't have died. And yet I might as well have killed her myself. Please forgive me, Yumi. I could hear the sound of those beautiful, long-ago memories crumbling in the flames. Tara-san? Tara-san? Someone was calling me. Tara-san? What's wrong? Hey, hurry up! Huh? Come, this way, quickly! No way. I mean, you should be dead. Come on, this way! I can't. I mean, you're already... I see. So you won't come and get me? No, you're wrong. That's not it. But you promised. You didn't even notice me, huh? You're wrong. Don't worry about it. If that's the case, you should die too. As I slowly came back to, I was in the car. It appeared I'd fallen asleep while driving and then crashed. Still, what a dream. Was it because I felt responsible? Ugh, pain shot through my body when I tried to move. But it looked like I'd be able to walk. I dragged myself out of the car. I desperately made my way to the edge of the road and then fell down. When I turned around, the car was totaled. That was quite the crash. The car probably wouldn't start again. Well, at least I was still alive. As time passed, the pain throughout my body lessened, but I grew more dizzy and it was difficult to move my right leg. The blood pouring from my head showed no signs of stopping. How could I fall asleep like that? Well, I had been up all night beforehand, so it wasn't that strange. After Yumi's funeral, I got in the car to head to the village she lived in. That underpopulated village lay deep in the mountains, in a place you could easily miss on the map if you weren't paying close attention. At any rate, I'd forcibly taken some time off work. The boss was rather angry, so I might not have a job when I got back. But even so, I had to go. The police had concluded that she'd gone mad and killed herself, but there was something clearly off about her death. If it was suicide, then why did she call me for help? Why did she say someone was going to kill her? The answer was easy. Someone had killed her and made it look like a suicide. She must have gotten wrapped up in something. And that secret had to lie in that village she lived in. I'd find whoever did it and bring the truth to light. That was the only thing left I could do for her. Well, putting that aside for the moment, what was I supposed to do now? First things first, it seemed I could move, but the blood pouring from my head refused to stop. If I lost focus, I'd probably pass out. Had to do something. I did my best to move and looked around the area. Then I spotted a small village sitting between the mountains in the distance. Was that perhaps... I quickly checked the map. No doubt about it, that was the village she lived in. The village sat quietly in a small basin between the mountains. The sight before me looked like it'd been ripped right out of a painting, and for a city boy like me, felt somewhat nostalgic. Was the truth behind that horrifying incident really hiding in such a peaceful, picturesque scene? Ah well. At any rate, I decided to wait where I was for someone to pass. The village was too far away for me to walk there. Not to mention, my injuries probably wouldn't let me walk that far anyway. I had to bet everything on waiting for someone to pass by. Having readied myself, I lay down on the spot. But looking around the forest one more time, it seemed somewhat creepy. Maybe because the weather was bad? It was like a ghost might suddenly jump out of the darkness. Would someone really drive by on this lonely mountain pass? What if no one did? I'd freeze to death in this cold. No. Why was I acting so weak? get it together. I couldn't die until I found out why Yumi really died. There was no way I was going to die here. That's right. I should have had a coat in the car. Warming myself would do a world of good. Then I could calm down a bit. With that in mind, I stood up. Ugh. But my leg felt heavy, and I fell face first. This was no good. Was I on the verge of passing out already? Ugh. I fell over again. Huh? That was strange. What was wrong? I was so dizzy that I couldn't stand up. Worse, I couldn't even feel my limbs. It was like my body wasn't listening to me. Had I hit my head too hard? I could gradually feel myself fading. Damn it, if I passed out here, I'd freeze to death for sure. Come on, get it together. But no matter how much I tried, I couldn't stand up, and I couldn't even move my body. No way! What was going to happen to me? Was I really going to die in the mountains? No. Was I going to die? I clearly felt my consciousness fading away. It was no good. Who would have thought it would have come to this? Yumi, I'm sorry. I couldn't do anything. At that moment, I felt someone lifting me up. Who? I did my best to stay awake and slowly opened my eyes. It was a girl. A girl with a short cut was holding me up. How sad her eyes were. Who are you? Okay, we're leaving the village. What did she mean? But it felt somewhat nice. She smelt nice. Where was I? Oh, you're awake. An old man in a white coat came over to me and smiled. I didn't understand much of what was happening, but my head and right leg were bandaged. Don't worry, you're in the local hospital. It seemed I'd gotten help. Come to think of it, that girl. Dr. Kanayama? A lone police officer entered the room. He looked like a tired, middle-aged man with sleepy eyes. Plus, he was kinda chubby, so he looked like a laid-back tanuki. Ah, Kawamura-san. Perfect timing. He just woke up. Is that so? Wonderful. I still couldn't grasp the situation at hand. Ah, I'm a resident of this village, Officer Kawamura. The officer smiled. Why am I... Oh, I just happened to be driving along the mountain pass when I saw a crashed car. I went to look for the driver, but... what was your name? Tara-san? Yes. Officer Kawamura looked at my license. I found you lying next to the car, and then brought you here. You did? My head was full of questions. Yes, that's right. Was there a girl with me at the time? With short hair? No, I didn't see anyone like that. And there's nobody in this village who fits that description either. Huh? So then, who was the girl I saw? A hallucination? By the way, are you on vacation or do you have business here? Actually, I said before swallowing my words. Should I tell them the real reason I was there? After considering it for a moment, I decided to lie. The man talking to me was a police officer. If he suspected me, then things would get troublesome, and I wouldn't be able to look for the girl. Yeah, uncovering the truth behind Yumi's death was the first point of order. Until things calmed down, I'd keep quiet about my real reasons and see how things played out. Actually, I'm on vacation. I'm not in a hurry or anything, so once I've rested, I'll leave. But while I'm here, I figured I may as well have a look around. The pair exchanged glances. Eh? There's no inn in this village? That's right. That's troublesome. Officer Kawamura and I left Dr. Kanayama's office and walked through the center of the village. Although, it was only really called the center because it had the village's only traffic light and a few stores. But other than that, a peaceful world of mountains and rice fields spread out all around us. Luckily, thanks to Dr. Kanayama's help, I was feeling even better than I thought, and walking a little was no problem. But no inn was a problem. At any rate, I had to find a way to stay in the village so I could investigate Yumi's death. It definitely seemed like the key to unlocking the truth behind it lay somewhere in this village. Anyway, you're not going to see anything interesting walking around this village, Officer Kawamura said. I should take you to the neighboring village. They have a train station and lodging. No, that's okay, I accidentally said a little too loudly. This was no joke. There was no way I could leave yet. But Officer Kawamura opened his mouth in surprise at my strong refusal. Damn. Looks like it's going to rain. I tried to gloss over it. Perhaps I could change the topic with the weather. If I could... Oh my, so it does. Looks like it's going to be heavy, he said while looking at the sky. Alright, success. Well, let's hurry before it rains. What? Oh, what should I do? At this rate, he really would drive me out of the village. What's wrong? It was no good. I couldn't come up with any good ideas. Let's make it tomorrow, I said the first thing that came to mind. Huh? But shouldn't you get back as soon as possible? It's fine. If there's a storm and I crash again, well, that would be terrible. Alright, nailed it. But... I still have shock from the accident. I grabbed my head on purpose. Oh, you should rest for a bit. Can't be helped, I suppose. Well, do you want to come to my place? Officer Kawamura said, perhaps concerned. Nice. Lucky. I couldn't impose, I lied. No, please, don't worry about it. You'll be leaving in 2 or 3 days, right? It'll be fine, he said. Oh. At any rate, it all went well. Although Officer Kawamura really seemed to want me out of there. Was it because I was an unknown stranger? Or was there a reason that I shouldn't be there? Anyhow, your injuries are somewhat worrying, so please. Well, if you insist. We started walking again. We turned the corner and walked towards the mountains when the village's branch school came into view. It was a small, wooden, nostalgic-looking building. So this was where Yumi worked, huh? Suddenly I remembered her, and I stopped in front of the school gates. Perhaps the key to unlocking the mystery was somewhere in the school. Yeah, maybe I could find something if I spoke to her colleagues. What's wrong? Officer Kawamura stopped a little further ahead and said to me, No, nothing. It's nice, isn't it? You don't see schools like this in the city anymore. It's rare. I bluffed my way through it smoothly. Well, not like it was a massive lie anyway. Yeah, if I was truly here for fun, that would be the end of the conversation. But I couldn't do anything that would make me stand out until I uncovered the truth behind what happened to her. If he tried to get rid of me again, it would all be over. I had to hold it in and investigate later. I wouldn't know, Officer Kawamura said, his face somewhat surprised. It's just a branch school to us. Anyway, let's hurry up, he said, hurrying me along. Kawamura-san! At that moment, a man in a jersey came running over. Ah, Mr. Mizutani. Hi, you're just the person I wanted to see. Mr. Mizutani was a slim man who lacked a little something for being a teacher. If anything, he looked like a wimp. Did he know anything about what happened to Yumi? Have you seen Kakuda Eiko from the 2nd grade? Mr. Mizutani said while wiping away some sweat. No, I haven't seen her today. Damn it. No, I just got an angry call from her father. He looked like he was about to cry. He was supposed to take her along to the land development meeting in the next village over, but she hasn't returned home yet. She should have been home long ago. That kid, she's probably playing in the mountains behind the school, Officer Kawamura said. He didn't sound very police-like, but out here in the countryside, they probably didn't have to worry too much about kidnappings. Maybe. If I see her, I'll tell her to go home. Please. You know what he's like when he gets angry. What was he like when he got angry? Well, let's go, Officer Kawamura said with a surprisingly indifferent tone, and started walking again. Hang on. Was this guy really a police officer? I rushed to catch up to him. After we walked towards the mountains a little further, the police station came into view. It certainly looked like a police box from the outside, but there was laundry hanging, and so it seemed somewhat strange. Well, to Officer Kawamura, it was probably more his home than a police station, so It was no doubt considered an ordinary sight. I was born and raised in this village, and I live here together with my wife, as well as for work. But a little further off you'll find our family home, he said. Huh? Was that so? So then, he would know all sorts of things about the village. I thought I'd ask him about Eiko-chan. Judging by the way Mr. Mizutani carried on, she seemed to be someone special. Maybe that also had something to do with what happened to Yumi. So, about Eiko-chan from before, I plucked up the courage to ask him. Ah, she's the daughter of Kakuda-san. Which means they're a famous family that have lived in this village since long ago. You might say they're the real power behind it. Wow. Recently they've been buying up land around the village to build a resort. And, well, perhaps with that it'll stop the depopulation of the village. I see. So that was why Mr. Mizutani was so frantic. For the daughter of a famous family to go missing, well, as her teacher, he was responsible for her. Anyway, Mr. Mizutani owes much to them, so if something happened, well, there's not much to worry about really, he said nonchalantly. He really was laid back for a cop. Officer! Then a loud voice called out. A girl from the village came running towards us, breathing hard. Her cheeks were rosy, and she wore her hair in pigtails that suited her well. Oh, aren't you Natsuki-chan from the Shins? Where on earth were you? I was looking for you. What's wrong? Why are you in such a rush? I was walking Pochi in the mountains before. Pochi, huh? Come to think of it, I haven't seen him in a while. Has he grown bigger? Yeah, thanks for asking. But you were told not to walk him outside, right? What if he gets violent? What type of dog was he? It's okay. Pochi's a gentle cow. Cow? Why on earth was her cow called Pochi? And so, what happened? Officer Kawamura asked gently. So, when I was walking Pochi, I found this by the river, she said and handed Officer Kawamura something. It was a cute red shoe. Inside, 2nd grade, Kakuta Eiko was written in small letters. So, she really was up in the mountains, he said upon seeing the shoe, his face growing paler. His wide eyes looked at the ground, and the hand holding the shoe shook. Kawamura-san? What was wrong? At any rate, I followed his gaze to the ground. Ah! I screamed before I could stop myself. The ground was getting redder before my eyes. It was blood. Blood was dripping from the shoe. The shoe was dyed red with blood. This is terrible, Officer Kawamura said as he took off running. As night fell, it grew cold, and I could see my breath. Countless voices called out for Eiko-chan. The various lights littering the mountainside looked just like souls from another world. Ominous dark clouds disguised everything, and the occasional thunder rumbled like a voice crying out. In the end, I was unable to stand by quietly and watch, so I forced Officer Kawamura to let me join in the search. The villagers desperately continued the search, but as night fell, there was no sign of the girl. Where on earth had she gone? And that blood on the shoe. I had a bad feeling about it. "You useless thing!" Next to me, Kakuta-san hit Mr. Mizutani. He was a well-dressed man, just past middle age, and really did look like the power behind the village. "I'm sorry." "Shut up, you fool!" Mr. Mizutani pressed his forehead to the ground, but Kakuta-san continued beating him. "Seriously, this guy. How many times did I tell you not to take your eyes off my daughter?" "I'm so sorry." That was all Mr. Mizutani could say. His face, swollen from the beating, looked painful. I stopped Kakuta-san, unable to watch it any further. I understood how he felt, but Mr. Mizutani was already pitiful enough. "Kakuta-san! Kakuta-san!" I pinned him from behind. What are you doing? Let go of me, you outsider!" "Please calm down. Doing this isn't going to help find your daughter." "Shut up. What the hell do you know?" "Ah!" Kakuta-san tossed me off. As expected, nobody else looked like they were going to stop him. Nobody in this village could stand up to him. If anyone did, it would no doubt lead to them becoming isolated in the village. And apparently Officer Kawamura was no exception to that. It was like I'd come to understand a small part of the truth of this locked-away village. "You asshole! Do you intend to get in my way?" Kakuta-san continued beating me. Please, stop!" "Shut up, you asshole!" Please stop. Why me?" "Kakuta-san! Kakuta-san!" Unable to watch any longer, Dr. Kanayama finally stepped in to pull him off me. I was saved. "Doctor, don't try to stop me. He... Get a hold of yourself. This man was injured in an accident. Neither he nor Mr. Mizutani have done anything wrong." Kakuta-san stopped at Dr. Kanayama's words. "Eiko." Then he slowly dropped his fist and hung his head. "Anyway, we shouldn't stick together like this. Let's spread out and look for her." That was right. Just like Officer Kawamura said. We had to find Eiko-chan as quickly as possible. We split up and went further into the mountains. Even so, what on earth was I doing? Until 2 days prior, I'd been living a normal, boring life. Now I was walking around the mountains at night with a torch in hand. Was I dreaming? That peaceful life seemed somewhat nostalgic. Looking back on it, it was a boring life, but it was preferable to the terrifying incident awaiting before my eyes. Yumi. What happened to her? She must have been living peacefully at that school. And then that thing happened. What fear must have assaulted her? What stole her life away? Huh? When I came back to, suddenly, I was alone. That was odd. But no matter where I looked, I was only surrounded by creepy forest, and I couldn't even hear any voices. There was nothing but a quiet, dark world. Damn, I spaced out. Was I lost? I grew worried. Kawamura-san? No response. What should I do? Where on earth was I? Ugh! Suddenly there was a loud noise and a bright flash of light. Lightning. I was so surprised that I dropped and grabbed my head. That scared the crap out of me. Still, it seemed awful close. I was in the mountains after all. I had to be careful. Just as I stood up, it happened. Suddenly the trees in front of me shook. Something was there. Something was behind that tree. I couldn't see very well, but they were looking right at me. My legs trembled. My heart beat faster and faster. What should I do? Kawamura-san? I tried calling out. Yeah! Lightning once again hit nearby. At the same time, the mysterious shadow took off running into the trees. I was so scared that I screamed and fell over backwards. I gathered all my courage and looked up. But the shadow was already gone. But just now, I saw a little of who it was in the brief light. I felt like I had seen them somewhere before.